Have you ever wondered about the history of television? Well, not us. I'm Brett Cassane, and this is Sequoia Brown, and we're here to tell you about the scandalous past of your friendly neighborhood, living room, wherever idiot box.
A 14-year-old teenager, Philo T. Farnsworth, came up with the idea of an electronic television as he plowed a potato field in 1920. Farnsworth saw the tubing for the television in straight parallel furrows. A few years later, Farnsworth invented a prototype of the electronic television, and this attracted David Sarnoff's attention. Sarnoff led the Radio Corporation of America, or RCA, and had a monopoly on the radio industry. Sarnoff sent Vladimir Zworykin to observe Farnsworth under false pretenses of granting a patent.
For 3 days, Zworykin was at Farnsworth's house, spying out his invention. Zworykin had been trying to invent electronic television prior to visiting Farnsworth, but wasn't having much success. Both Farnsworth and Zworykin attempted to patent their inventions, and there began the war over television, and the courts had to figure out who invented it. They battled in court for almost 4 years before Farnsworth won the rights to his invention. Farnsworth had more than 165 American patents in the television industry.
His face masked, his true identity unknown. Accompanied always by a faithful Indian companion, he thundered across the frontier, appearing out of nowhere to strike down injustice. His sign, a silver bullet. His name, the Lone Ranger.
That little snippet was from the 1956 version of The Lone Ranger, the movie. The Lone Ranger began as a radio series in 1933 with a whopping 12 million listeners. In 1951, The Lone Ranger became the first radio series to make its transition from radio to television.
The television show broadcasted an impressive 221 episodes. The show was so popular that it has a dedicated fan club that presents the history of the television show and even sells Lone Ranger costumes for as little as $4,500. Just in case you're interested in any of this information, like we were, their website is www.lonerangerfanclub.com. You can even subscribe to their newsletter.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
The famed Apollo 11 moon landing on July 20th, 1969 was the first space transmission from the moon that was broadcasted across the world. 500 million people across the world viewed the broadcast, which included the launch and live broadcast from the spacecraft.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What a moment. Man on the way to the moon. It seemed that the whole world stopped as man set out on the adventure to escape from his own planet and to set foot on a distant one.
President Dwight D. Eisenhower wanted television to be a means of enhancing American students' education and learning. His vision of national educational television inspired the creation of PBS. President John F. Kennedy signed the Educational Television Facilities Act of 1962. There he created the first non-commercial television station and focused on educating the public instead of entertaining through comedies and dramas. PBS features documentaries and shows that cater to children specifically, among other things. More than 100 million children in 140 countries across the world watch Sesame Street.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Bernie Madoff, Ken Lay, Dennis Kozlowski, criminals, gluttons of greed, and the evil genius who towered over them. One man has the guts to speak his name.
Big Bird. Big Bird. Big Bird.
It's me, Big Bird.
Big, yellow, a menace to our economy. Mitt Romney knows it's not Wall Street you have to worry about. It's Sesame Street.
I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS.
Mitt Romney, taking on our enemies no matter where they nest.
The future of television is the internet and vice versa. Websites such as Hulu.com and YouTube.com made watching television series more accessible to the public. These new on-demand offerings have attracted the public interest, and this forced the large television companies to respond with their own offers. TNT, TBS, and ABC, among others, have begun posting various episodes on their website.
Eventually, television and internet will synergize. Television stations will have instantaneous feedback through Twitter, Facebook, or their websites. A show on Comedy Central, Tosh.0, is pre-recorded, and then as it airs, viewers can interact with the host, Daniel Tosh. Once Upon a Time on ABC has a fan recap blog that is actually on the official website. These are just the beginnings of what seems to be an exciting future for television.